Hello, welcome to lesson 15. This is called making a multiplication table. Now, we all know what multiplication is, and I want you to think of it as multiplication tables in a different way or a new perspective for those of you that might struggle with memorizing the facts. Whenever we have a multiplication table, this is what they typically look like. Although you will have numbers going up at the top horizontally, and you will have these numbers written down vertically. Now, the way you can think of it as kind of with a sequence pattern. Now, with zeros, we have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's actually how we count by zeros. It's pretty basic. So with ones, when we count by ones, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we continue on and on. Twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And it would continue on. Threes, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, continue on. And each of these rows would continue as you're counting by. Now, we do look at them as this would be any of these numbers times 1. So 0 times 1 would be 0. 1 times 1 would be 1, because this is the first term of the counting sequence. If you think of them as sequences and you're finding the terms, those are the types of problems that we've actually been already doing in our book when they give you a sequence and they say name the 9th term, and it only gives you 3 terms so far. Well, you're multiplying, you're doing 3, maybe if it's counting by threes, you're doing 3 times 9, and you find the next term to be 27. This is the same thing that we're doing with the multiplication tables. We have with our threes, if I were to find the 4th term, that would be the same thing as finding 4 times 3, which is 3, 6, 9, 12. That's my 4th term. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so you can think of them almost as counting sequences like we've been finding the problems in, and they will continue on. Most multiplication tables will go through either 10s or even possibly 12s. But this is all we're doing for now. Now it's important to realize that these are columns, go up and down vertically. Like if you were to have a column of a building, almost similar to a pillar of a building, it goes vertical. Your rows go horizontal. All right, so we're also going to be looking at multiplication vocabulary. These are very important to know and remember. They're also pretty simple. So factors, step over here. Factors is our first terminology, and I do want you to write this down. For factors, factors are any numbers that are being multiplied together. So if I have 6 times 4, 6 and 4 are factors. They are being multiplied together. The product is an answer to a multiplication problem. So 6 times 4 is 24. 24 is the product of those two numbers. So product is the answer. The factors are numbers that are multiplied together. They are the numbers in the problem. Now we also have some different properties, and we actually learned about the commutative property of addition already. So the commutative property of multiplication is very similar. With addition, it said that we could add numbers in any order and still get the same answer. Guess what? For multiplication, we can do the exact same thing. We can multiply numbers in any order. We will always get the same product. 3 times 5 is the same thing as 5 times 3. Then we have the property of 0 for multiplication. This one is very, very simple, very self-explanatory, because we have the number 0 in it. We know that anything times 0 is going to be 0. When we count by zeros, we're not going to get any higher than 0 itself. So property of 0 for multiplication says any number times 0 is 0. And then lastly, we have our identity property of multiplication. Now this one's actually one of my favorites, because if you think of it, identity, when you know your identity, such as when you know your identity in Christ and you know who you are, you're usually a very honorable person. You love to honor people, you love to respect people, and you want to put them first. You don't need to be in the spotlight. So when you have the identity property of multiplication, 1 times any number is going to be that other number. 1 knows his identity. He's like, you know what? I'm cool. I don't need to be in the spotlight. The other number can have the spotlight. it's going to honor them, it knows its identity, it's confident in who it is, it doesn't need to be the center of attention. So identity property of multiplication says that 1 times any number will always be that other number. 1 times a million is a million. 1 times 70 is 70. 1 times 86 is 86. 1 already knows its identity. It does not need to be the answer ever, unless you have 1 times 1, of course. All right, and that is all we have for making multiplication tables. With our practice set, you're going to be doing some problems that will be finding rows and columns. So if you were to find like 5 times 6, you will look 5 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be, you'd have a 6 right here, and you'd meet them up to find your product, which would be 30. So it's almost similar again to playing maybe Battleship. As far as you have your columns and then you have the rows listed. And you match them up to meet and you find your product in the center. Like 5 times 4, they'll be meeting right here to be 20. So those are the types of problems that you will see, and that is the end of our lesson. Thank you.